Hello everybody. This is Audition. I'm working on my Mac, you guys will be working on your PC, so some things might look a little bit different, but the program itself is the exact same. We're going to be working in three main windows, but I'm going to describe to you what you should be seeing when you load up Audition. First, this window up here says Files. We're going to be sifting through all of our files in this window. Next window we're looking at down here, next to the media browser window, is Effects Rack. We're going to be working with Effects Rack. And then the third we're going to be working with is this editor window. Other stuff's going to be going on around here that I might talk about, but for the most part, these are the three windows that we're going to want to see. Now, if yours doesn't look like this, chances are it's because your workspace, for some reason, didn't end up in default. So if that's the case, make sure you click on this and we click default here so that yours looks like mine. So first thing that we need to do is we need to import the audio that we have loaded from the drive. And the way that we import audio is we go to File, Import, File, and here you see on my screen, you see I've already got access to these files. Now you're going to have to go into the folder that you save those audio files in your Art Media folders, and you're going to need to select them there. Mine is in a different place. But I'm going to click here and I'm going to select all of the audio files that I want to work with today, which again are all found, or should all be found in your Art Media folder, and we're going to open them. And they're going to all appear up in this files area. In addition to them all appearing in this files area, you also see that my effects rack has been updated, and I've got these graphics over here in the editor window. Sweet. So the first graphic that I'm looking at is a graphic simulation of this dialog1.wave file. And we can preview the way this sounds right now by clicking in the editor window and then pressing spacebar.
Hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
Awesome. And I can press spacebar on and off, so that's kind of my stop and start button. Again, that's spacebar. So the first thing I want to do is clean up this audio. And the way I'm going to clean up this audio is I'm going to select by clicking with my cursor in the editor window and click and pull and select all of the audio that I want to work with. And you can see that it turns white. That lets me know that that is selected. The stuff that's in black over here is not selected. And after selecting, notice I also have space before, a little bit of space after and before the audio begins. I'm going to right click on this area. I'm going to go down here where it says crop. Now my key commands are different than yours, so I'm just going to work with right click, but if you guys love key commands, then you'll learn that your key command is going to be Control T. But I'm going to click that. Now what I've done is I've cropped down the audio file, so I'm just now working with...
Hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
Perfect. I'm just now working with this file, and I have eliminated out all the silence before and after. But I still have some sound that's happening before and after my different phrases. And I want to eliminate out that little noise that's going on, say, right there. And you can actually see that sound bouncing down here on my levels. I don't want to have sound right there. And this is another essential part in cleaning up audio. So I'm going to click and pull right here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go down here where it says silence. I'm going to do the same thing here. Do the same thing here. Do the same thing here. And now I've got a clean.
Hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
Got a cleaner sounding audio. One more thing that I'm going to do, so I'm going to come up here to favorites. I'm going to go down to where it says normalize to negative 0.1 dB. Normalizing brings up the audio. It boosts all the audio to negative 0.1 or whatever you want to normalize to dB. This way.
Hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
The audio has been boosted to that level. Okay, next up I'm going to add some effects to this dialogue. And where I'm going to add the effects is in the effects rack. I'm going to go here on the first of my effects rack. And I'm going to click on that arrow. I'm going to come down to where it says amplitude and compression. Now we've talked about compression in class. We're going to use a compressor down at the base called tube modeled compressor. I'm going to click this right here. The way compression works is it takes down the volume at a certain threshold by a certain percentage, and it gets pretty technical. I'm just going to have you guys fill in each one of these different values, and I want you guys to experiment with compression. You never want to compress too much, but compression is always a good thing to help even out the peaks and valleys. Right now, my voice gets really, really loud, and it gets quieter and quieter. And it does the same here, it does the same a little bit here. I want to even this all out so it all stays the same somewhat loudness. I'm going to set my threshold at negative 10 dB. I'm going to set my gain for now at 5. I'm going to set my ratio at 3, and I'm going to set my attack at 2. Now I'm going to go into greater detail and have you guys watch more videos, those of you guys that are interested in audio and how all this stuff works. But remember, all I really want you to know is just that compression helps to even out the loudness of your entire file. Down here you can see I've got an on-off button, and I also have an on-off button here. When I turn this off, both turn off, and when I turn it on, both turn on. So this is a cool way that you can preview the compressor sound while not having to apply the effect, and if you don't like it, you have to go all the way back. So this is a good way to toggle it on and off.
Hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
Nice. And then me toggling it on and off.
Hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
There we go. Awesome. So there is our compressor effect, and it's just on. This is kind of like the waiting room, if you will, before we actually apply the effect to the whole track. So you can't see anything's changed here, but it is changing here. And we'll change everything, and we'll apply the whole effect in the very end. Next up, we're going to add an equalizer to this. We're going to add the equalizer to this file on the second rack here. We're going to click on this arrow, go down to Filter EQ, and I want you guys to go down to where it says Parametric Equalizer. This is a certain type of equalizer that I really like. It's a way to show graphically what's kind of going on. I want you guys to mess around with this. I'm just going to jump to the vocal enhancer for now. You guys can mess around with all these different values and see how different you can make my voice sound, but we're going to try and go for something a little bit more professional sounding. So I'm going to move some of these values around a little bit. And
hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
So that's with it on. This is with it off.
Hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
So you can kind of tell a little bit of a difference. So that there is the parametric equalizer. I'm going to come down here now that I've got these two effects. I'm going to come down here where it says apply. I'm going to hit apply, and you'll notice now my file's been updated. My peaks are a little bit more even, and the frequencies have been changed through that equalizer. So this is my new Dialog 1 wave file. Has an asterisk telling me that it has been edited. Next up, we're actually going to take this dialogue and we're going to put it with music. And the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna click on this multi-track button. This is gonna start a new multi-track session. I'm gonna name my multi-track my period first, underscore, first initial last name, underscore, the project name, which we are going to do post pro sound demo 1. I know that's long, but we're going to see how many of these we can do. And then I'm going to make sure that I'm navigating, if I'm you, I'm going to make sure I'm navigating to the correct folder location, which yours is going to be the sound folder inside your art media folder. And I'm going to go to sample rate. Make sure that your sample rate here is set at 44,100 hertz. Also make sure your bit depth is set at 16 and master stereo is just fine. We're going to click OK. And now what's come up is my editor window's been updated. I've got a variety of tracks here seen that I'm going to be using so I can see multiple tracks at once. And you can also see that my files have been updated. I've got my session file for a multi-track here on top of all of the sound files that I've already added in. So I'm going to take this edited dialogue file and I'm going to drag it in, click and drag into my first track. I'm going to update my track name by clicking on it, and I'm going to call this dialogue. Next, I'm going to pull a sound file, and I want to use this second music example here. I'm going to pull this in, and you'll see when I pull it into the second track, it's going to update a different color. And this guy's all by itself, and this guy's all by itself. So I can listen to two different files at once and see two different files at once as I listen to them. I'm going to click on this second track number 2 name and rename it music. Okay. Now when I click on this music file, I can do some stuff to it and edit it in the similar way that I started editing music files or sound files to begin with. When I click on this, I'm going to move my cursor over to the very beginning of the file, and you'll see I've got this open bracket here. I'm going to click and pull that open bracket to right about before the music begins right here, the sound begins, and then I'm going to click and pull my music file over. A lot of times the majority of work that we're going to be doing with editing is going to be stuff like that, like cutting and moving and finding the appropriate spot to begin the song or to begin the sound. I'm going to begin the sound right here just for convenience sake, but you guys can listen to these files and you can start your playback anywhere. And remember, pressing play is as simple as the space bar, and we also have a little play button down here if you guys want to use that. Let's listen to what we got here.
Hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
Cool. I'm going to move over my dialogue just a little bit so that I got a little bit more sound to begin with.
Hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
Nice. Now, I've got a really, really, really long song. Like, it goes on forever. So I need to cut down the song a little bit. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to press R, and my cursor is going to change to a razor blade. I could also hit the razor blade up here. My cursor used to be this move tool. Now it's the razor tool. Again, that's R is the key command. And I'm going to cut, say, right around 12. There. And now I've cut this file in half. This is a quick way for me to eliminate out this long end without having to go all the way to the back end and moving the back end closer in here. So I'm cutting this file. I'm going to hit V, or I could go up to this cursor right here. And I'm going to click that back end and then press backspace. And now that back end is gone. So I have a short file. I'm going to click here. And the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to fade this out by clicking this box and moving that fade out over to 8. Now I have my sound.
Hello and welcome to Art Media. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy the ride.
There we go. Pretty simple and straightforward. Audition's a pretty sweet program. I think you guys are going to really like it. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to export the sound. The way that we export the sound is we go up to File, just like we went into Import. We're going to go into Export now. We're going to go into Multi-Track Mixdown, and then Entire Session. I click that. This is going to export everything that's in the session right here. I'm going to make sure that I have the appropriate name here. So I've got my period, I've got my name, and then I've got the name of the project. And it comes out as Mixdown. We could actually just keep that what it is. If you guys want to keep all of these files, we're going to keep them Mixdown. And all of this should be to default. And I'm just going to click OK. And then it's going to mix down that track, and I'm good to go. Last thing you guys got to do is just upload that file to the Mixdown folder, and you can then move forward and experiment with all of these different sound files that I've got for you and see what you guys come up with. All right, guys, peace.